What's up? Welcome to Cohn and Krueger. That's Larry Krueger. I'm Grant Cohn. We haven't done a show in a minute, but we're back and the season is over and they just had their end of the year press conference. Robert Saleh's gone. Things are happening and things should be happening pretty quick. I put out a video earlier today, an article that the Niners are interested in trading for Jordan Addison. We're
Yeah.
going to talk about that later because first I want to ask Larry about something that he's been talking about on his streams, which is very interesting. Ricky Pearsall. What are you hearing about Ricky? I heard that the Niners are a little down on him because of this season. What are you hearing?
Well, I think they really like Ricky Pearsall. I think I think that, he's a guy that they really like as far as a guy. I think they like him as much as the day they drafted him. I just think that there's some frustration about maybe pain tolerance and his, ability to get out there. Shanahan said today he was only really himself for 4 games, and I would probably agree with that. But that in and of itself is a problem. So from what I've heard from people, a couple different people who are really close to the team, that Ricky Pearsall, that they're going to listen to trades for Ricky Pearsall in the offseason. So we shall see. I've heard that Pearsall and also about Renardo Green, that they just don't feel like there's a fit there, and that they know these are players that were drafted, Pearsall in round 1, Green in round 2, too high to cut. You're not cutting guys like this, and they're too good of players to cut. But if somebody, they also play coveted positions. There's a lot of teams looking for wide receivers, a lot of teams looking for corners, and I think I don't think they're going to make a big deal about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if either of those guys, if not both, get moved this offseason.
When they were asked today about Ricky Pearsall, first of all, Kyle Shanahan answered, Lynch did not, and I found that interesting. And Shanahan, he's had a very long speech that sounded positive, but he threw in there, maybe we'll work on finding a way to come back a little faster. That's almost a direct quote. So I wonder if they feel like, on the one hand, you got Jawan Jennings, who is a free agent and who wants to stay here and would be kind of expensive. He's a little older, but he's out there every week, whether he has 8 broken ribs or not. And over here, we got Ricky Pearsall, who, I know he's hurt and it's painful, but he just wasn't able to find a way, the way that a lot of people on this team are. So, yeah, I'm hearing the same thing, that they're a little down on him because of that. And I wouldn't be surprised. It just seems like you said, you had Ricky for 4 games. How many games are you going to have Ricky next year for? And if it's less than 15, then how can you really count on him as a number one? He's your number 1 guy or number 2.
And maybe this is just not the right scenario for him. I think he's his skill set is what they like, but maybe this is not the greatest fit. You see guys that need a change of scenery. It's clear in Jacksonville that Brian Thomas needs a change of scenery. Ricky's from that part of the world. He was good there at Florida. To me, a Ricky for Brian Thomas, junior swap at some point would make sense. They've tired of Brian Thomas. I think he would thrive in Shanahan's system. I think Ricky would probably be more comfortable in Jacksonville. But who knows? I'm sure Ricky would love to be here. And, his whole thing about taking notes when people were being critical of him. I was kind of ripping on that the other day in a live stream because it's like, dude, what are you doing taking notes? How about this? Stop worrying about our reaction to your inability to play and produce, and just worry about your inability to play and produce.
Yeah. I like Ricky a lot, and I think he has real potential. But if the Niners don't re-sign Jawan Jennings, then Ricky is their number 1 receiver. And again, you don't know how long he can stay healthy. This year it was 4 games, not even a quarter of the season. So it seems to me that they either need to bring in someone else, Jordan Addison, or maybe trade him for Jordan Addison. That could be something they explore as well. But I don't think they're going to go into another year depending on Ricky Pearsall and then being in this position where they're starting Kendrick Bourne for 8 games. That's not going to happen again.
They've got a couple young receivers. He's not the only one. Jacob Cowing was a 4th round pick. Guys can't get on the field. He was a really good player in college, can't get on the field. Jordan Watkins, I asked Shanahan about him today, and he just kind of painted a picture of, we liked him, then he got set back, and then by the time he was healthy, he was behind, and he just was always behind. He made it seem like they really liked Nick Martin. They really liked Jordan Watkins, but those guys, for whatever reason, the injuries and the timing and when they were needed, it just never jived for them. But those are two guys at premium positions. The Niners have no receivers and no linebackers, and they need those two guys who can run to produce and get on the field. And that part of their failure was their inability to get anything out of those guys.
And what they really need too is a number one wide receiver because as much as they like Jawan Jennings is not a number one wide receiver. He's a number two. And so far, it looks like Ricky Pearsall, he has flashed like he could be a number one for a game here and there, but hasn't been consistent nearly enough to be that guy. They need a number one. It was supposed to be Brandon Ayuk. We asked about him today, and John Lynch said he's played his last game with the Niners, and they can't explain what's going on. And it's the weirdest thing they've ever seen, and it's so confusing. Sure, but they were counting on him. There's a reason they gave him $30 million a year. He's not coming back, which is why I'm not surprised that they're picking up the phones and calling about some of the best wide receivers in the league. I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to get Justin Jefferson, and I don't think you really want AJ Brown. Like, he's 30. They need to get young on offense. They need to get faster on offense.
I
And
mean,
yeah,
not to interrupt Grant, but when I watched the all 22 of Niners Seahawks, I was blown away. The 49er receivers got zero separation in that game. I haven't seen a 49er team get less separation at wide receiver since I've been watching the all 22 tape. I mean, it was unfreaking believable. It was like their defenders were wired to the Niner receivers. I'm not shocked at all that the Niners did zero offensively in that game. There was no space. So they don't need a big guy. They need a slithery, fast guy. That's why Jordan Addison, I think, is a perfect fit because he's Mr. Separation. That guy can get 5 to 8 yards of separation on anybody. So they got to find some guys who can separate because Brock Purdy doesn't have that laser arm. He can throw it to the right guy and be pretty accurate, but he's got to have some separation. If everybody's playing tight coverage, he's going to have a hard time. He really is.